The Edgar has arrived in my office. Wonderful. Good afternoon. Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name is Eva Pölzl and I am your moderator this afternoon about the side events, European Mobility Week in the framework of the 5th high-level ministerial meeting on transport, health and environment. That's what we are talking about, especially about 20 years of European Mobility Week. Cities and towns show how it's done. And I'm very happy to have a range of interesting speakers and keynote speakers and participants here in this webinar. And we are very happy to have also two awarded mayors, two mayors presenting their best practice activities in their cities. It's about Mönchengladbach and Bruck and the Leitha, and we're happy to have you here. First, very happy to have and to welcome Mr. Robert Thaler, the chair of the PEP, Robert Thaler from the Federal Ministry for Climate Action. Wonderful, good afternoon. Hello, Robert, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Of course, I'm pleased to see you. Thanks.
Super. It's a rainy afternoon here in Vienna, Robert, but the sun is always shining when you're here.
Thank you.
Robert, Austria, the first question is, why has Austria been participating in the European Mobility Week for 20 years now? Why?
Okay, thanks for the question. First of all, welcome to everybody. Welcome from the host country of the 5th high-level ministerial meeting, which is already taking place because this webinar is a part of it. And next week, Monday, Tuesday, we will be the so-called focus, the heart of all the transport, health, and environment ministers in Europe. We have around 40 ministers here in Vienna, so it's a really very positive reaction on the invitation. So we are now very busy on that. I think why we are supported the Mobility Week. I always say taking actions for changing transport in a way what we need in a transformation to a clean, safe, healthy, sustainable, inclusive mobility, then you need always to take into account two sides of the coin. That's technology is the one side, and the other side is the are we. That means you, me, all the persons, all the companies, all the cities, all those actors which on a daily basis are transport users, are producing transport, are taking care of the impacts of transport or are affected negatively by transport. So you need always the user's perspective and not just a technological approach. Technology is always nice and fine, sometimes like a religion, but on the other hand, you need the humans or the actors. Therefore, the Mobility Week was it started with the car-free day approach. So Mobility Week was car-free day was extended to the Mobility Week. So this was as it started. Austria was there from the beginning, and because it was a perfect chance to get to the people, to the citizens, involve them, and try to convince them that mobility, clean mobility, alternatives to the just boring car are also fashionable and are comfortable and are also accessible and usable. And this, therefore, we from the first day we supported this EU initiative. And I remember very well the first big action in Vienna was 2004. The whole Ringstrasse was so-called closed. We say it was free. It was car-free. So this was one of the biggest actions. So the Ringstrasse in Vienna, you may know this, is one of the hearts of the Vienna city. And of course, this was the nucleus of all the actions afterwards. And Austria was always one of the forerunners in this process because why? Because we from the first start, we involved the communities, the municipalities, because it's not just the ministry making an action. We support the whole process, but the actors which are really on the forefront are the communities, the cities. Therefore, I welcome very much the mayors and all those people active in community on community level. A special welcome and congratulations to the Austrian finalists, to the city of Bruck on the Leitha. It's nearby my home country, so it's not Burgenland, but nearly Burgenland. So I'm very happy that we have an Austrian finalist in this European Mobility Award. And warm congratulations to Bruck on the Leitha, but also to the winners, Granada and Mönchengladbach. So this is why we started from the beginning to support the whole EU initiative, and it's some kind of a flagship for the European Commission now to get direct contact to the citizens. And this, I think, is very important besides all these other technological and legal and other issues.
That sounds great.
You have to feel part of you are the part of the problem, but then you are part of the solution. And the Mobility Week offers you solutions. And this is why we think it's a good initiative.
That sounds great, Robert. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your support. And I hope you're going to join us over the next 1.5 hours for this webinar.
I try my best, but I'm still.
I know you're very busy.
I have multitasking now.
Yeah, you are. You are multitasking, Robert. I'm sure you can fix it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we have a video message sent from Matthew Baldwin. Matthew Baldwin has been Deputy Director-General of the European Commission's Directorate-General for Transport and Mobility since 2016, and was appointed as European Coordinator for Road Safety and of Sustainable Mobility. And he sent us a video message, and we are going to show you this one.
Hi, I'm Matthew Baldwin. I'm the EU Coordinator on Road Safety and Sustainable Urban Mobility. I'm also lucky enough to be managing the incredibly exciting new project we have to deliver 100 climate neutral cities across the European Union by 2030. Delighted to be with you to celebrate the PEP, if only by staring into this camera and not being with you physically, unfortunately. Mobility, of course, is right at the heart of the European Green Deal, and it's going to be a key factor in the great efforts that cities right across Europe are already making to become green and climate neutral. Transport, as you know, is the only sector where emissions are still growing, and this issue is addressed head-on in the European Commission's new recent Sustainable and Smart Mobility Strategy. We need to ensure that every mode is sustainable, that we have alternatives in the shorter term, whilst we develop, for example, the sustainable fuels to power aviation and shipping in the future. And finally, we need to incentivize those alternatives. It's been an honor for me and a pleasure to be part of the preparatory work for the PEP, and all my congratulations go to both the UNECE and the WHO for bringing us all together, with a lot of help from my friends in Germany and Austria, who I know are in this meeting. The PEP is a vital international cooperative tool to help cities push for more sustainable urban mobility. Why is this so important? Well, apart from the fact that we have to deliver on climate change and that emissions from mobility are still rising, the beauty of sustainable urban mobility policies from the perspective of a city is that if you reduce climate emissions, you get so many wonderful co-benefits as part of the package. For example, if you decide to limit the use of conventionally fueled cars in your city to deliver on your climate gas reductions, you also get clean air, you get less congestion, you get fewer road deaths, you get incredible health benefits. You'll have more people riding your buses and trams, you'll have more walking and cycling in your streets, you'll have more children playing in your streets. In short, you get more livable, more lovable cities. Listen, I know it's not easy, but the COVID experience shows that in most cities, that's what most people want to see. We in the European Commission are keen to work with your city on climate neutrality and all these other glorious aspects. Join the discussion on #MissionCities. Thanks for listening, and let's do this together.
Very much. We're going to do this. We're going to join you and your message and your initiatives. Thank you, Matthew Baldwin. Our next message comes from Dirk Messner. Dirk Messner is the president of the German Environment Agency, and he sent us a message too.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is alarming. Greenhouse gas emissions in the transport and mobility sector have not followed the European Union's general trend of decreasing emissions. In order to curb these emissions and activate and achieve climate neutrality, ambitious decisions need to be made immediately and rapidly. They need to foster technical innovations and investigate and push forward behavioral change. However, this change in transport and mobility will only be possible if citizens see the sustainable mobility systems as viable options that creates benefits for their lively and everydays. The European Mobility Week can play a very important role in demonstrating these kind of benefits for people. Climate protection in the mobility sector needs to be mixed and needs to be brought together with better living conditions. During this week, cities and towns showcase sustainable mobility options at the local level. They initiate solution-oriented dialogue among different stakeholders and citizens. They put practical transport solutions to the real test in real-life conditions, and they highlight the immediate benefits of less traffic and more attractive urban spaces. This year, 2 German cities won the European Mobility Week Award in the category of smaller and larger municipalities, Mönchengladbach and Lilienthal. My congratulations. They have both used European Mobility Week to showcase and to demonstrate that sustainable mobility can be possible, can work at the local level and being based on the engagement of citizens themselves. In times that are difficult and challenges for many of us, most of us, all of us, as these days, I'm impressed that so many cities and towns remain committed to sustainable mobility and sustainable transport. I'm optimistic that by including citizens to the conversations, I'm optimistic that providing practical guidance and practical alternatives to individual motorized transport and to showcase the immediate benefits for people and citizens, we can indeed transform the transport sector at the local level and make climate neutrality possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dirk Messner. He is from the German Environment Agency. The European Mobility Week this year will take place from the 16th to the 22nd of September. Just important information for you and your. Now it's time for our first speaker this afternoon. It's Miss Madeleine Kelly-Tychtl, and she's from DG Move, Project Coordinator, Mobility. Can you hear me, Madeleine? Can you see me? I'm sure.
I can hear you, I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Let me say, you will give us a short introduction on the European Mobility Week from the perspective of the European Commission. Thank you for this.
Thank you. So I'm Madeleine Kelly-Tychtl, working with European Mobility Week in the Commission's Urban Mobility team. European Mobility Week is back. Our busy campaign consortium and the national coordinators have just opened registration for towns and cities worldwide to join us from, as you say, the 16th until the 22nd of September. And there are also options for other parties to register their own mobility action all year round, such as schools and companies and institutions. Next slide, please. This is the European Commission's biggest and best known awareness-raising campaign on sustainable urban mobility. In fact, it's the best known urban mobility campaign worldwide. And so I should just mention, as regards this slide, that despite the pandemic, nearly 3,000 towns and cities from 53 countries registered their participation last year, making it the second most successful year so far. It also has a huge media appeal, so there are really plenty of reasons to join us. Next slide, please. So you join by holding sorry, it's this. Yeah, this is correct. You join by holding activities during the main week in September, by presenting all your permanent transport infrastructure, or by holding a car-free day, ideally on the 22nd of September, which is the World Car-Free Day. If you do all three, then you become a golden participant and you're eligible to apply for the European Mobility Week Awards. Next slide, please. So on the subject of the heart that you can see, this year the annual theme is Safe and Healthy with Sustainable Mobility, with the call to action, move sustainably, stay healthy. So the heart is for good health that gets a boost from a more active lifestyle of walking, cycling, taking public transport, and enjoying less air and noise pollution and safer roads as a consequence. And this year, as you can see, and as is the title of this session, also marks 20 years of European Mobility Week. So it's a big celebration. Next slide, please. We hope to celebrate our anniversary year with young people who are also 20 years old, and maybe also with those who have, sorry, the next, there should, sorry, next slide beyond this one, please. Yeah, okay. So yes, we'll celebrate with young people who are 20 years old, and maybe also with those who have worked with the campaign over the years. And there are plenty of good online options for this. For example, to have a virtual museum later in the year, or a retro video, or maybe even a birthday party. Next slide, please. So finally, I just want to share with you the winners of this year's Sustainable Urban Mobility Awards, as announced 3 weeks ago. As already mentioned, congratulations indeed go to Lilienthal and Mönchengladbach for the European Mobility Week Awards for smaller and larger municipalities, respectively, to Greater Grenoble Area Mobility Authority for the Award for Sustainable Urban Mobility Planning, and to Bilbao for the Urban Road Safety Award. And all of these awards are part of the European Mobility Week contract. So all that remains to be said is please join us this year. We look forward to seeing you in September, and I hope you'll follow the social media in the meantime. That's so that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeleine. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you have some questions or want to ask something, you can use the chat on the platform. But I think everything's clear right now, Madeleine. Thank you, and have a nice afternoon. Now it's time for our first keynote speaker. And our keynote speaker today is Professor Hermann Knoflacher. I have Mr. Knoflacher. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Are you already in? Maybe we should work on it. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you more about Professor Knoflacher. He was head of the Institute for Transport Planning and Technology at the Vienna University of Technology. And now he's going to give us an insight into the deeper process that the car triggers in people and their cities. And it's wonderful. I can see you, Professor Knoflacher, and hopefully I can hear you.
I think you can hear me.
Yes.
I have the microphone on. I am just going to try to share the screen.
Perfect. And I'm going to leave.
Okay, just a moment.
And the stage is yours. Yeah.
Okay. Ah, yeah. Well, today we have a kind of wishful thinking. We have these nice sentences. How do we build cities? They should be compact, integrated cities with resource-efficient infrastructure and little need for mobility beyond walking and bicycling. What is kind of city is this? This is a European medieval city. What we know what we should what should be, but how to get there, we don't know. This, I think, is our problem. Next slide. This is the hypothesis we would like to test. We have made impressive achievements of technical developments, but we have not understood the mechanisms of action of people and the technical transport system. We have enormously expanded individual possibilities with a private car, but not the possibility of cities to control these changes. We have not understood the consequences of the private car on people's behavior and society. The problem is us and our evolutionary deficiencies of conscious reflection, which are not prepared for today's technical world, but rather for the world as it existed 200,000 years ago. Therefore, we look for a solution where the symptoms are visible, but not the causes. Please, the next one. This is the situation in Vienna in the 50 years ago about. We had about 200,000 cars going through the city center. The Vienna government decided to build the metro in 1968 and had a traffic master plan in 69 to build motorways, to remove tram lines on the surface to make space for cars. Public transport should be underground and on the surface only buses. The city center was planned to be pedestrianized. We had priority for car traffic as every cities at this time. Pedestrian had to go underground where it came in conflict with the cars. And we are building parking garages to satisfy the needs of car users. Next slide. This is the situation of the city center. This was decided in 69. This is the city center, and the black lines are now pedestrianized. On these streets, we had in 1969 to 1970 about 200,000 cars per day, which has to be removed. But there was no replacement at the moment at this time, but the city planned to build motorways in the city. Please, next slide. Show you the situation in the city center as it was before. And the next slide, show the situation as it is now. The next slide also. This was full of cars at this time, full of noise, and the shops were going to close. The business didn't run very well. Today, you see there are much more wallets per square meter than ever could be in cars. Next slide. Show the same situation as I have shown you before. In the opposite direction, this street on the left side was the one on which you have seen so many cars. This is the situation of today. Please, the next slide. And this was the master plan from 1969. They wanted to build these motorways. At this time, along the second ring road, the Gürtel, and this was along the Danube Channel. And the center here, the blue one, is the city center. But the next slide, the people didn't they didn't want it to have these motorways in the city. There was a big resistance. I was supporting this resistance. And finally, in 1972, the city government, with the mayor Slavik, decided to stop motorways in Vienna. This was 1972, where everything was going into the direction of car. The question after 72, the next slide, was now what to do now, because the master plan has gone. They asked 4 professors to work for the next master plan, which was planned for 1980. The first professor was dealing with main road. The second one was for underground networks and rail networks. The third one was doing with economy. And I was at this time the youngest one, so they gave me all the trivialities, what the others didn't want. These were traffic safety, pedestrians, parking, public transport on the surface, which will be removed anyhow, traffic signals and cycling. What came out finally was a new role of priorities for the public transport on the rational level, which means all modes which are more efficient in terms of space and energy has priority above all the others. And this was the recommendation which was taken over by the city. So this is very clear what is coming out. Number 1, not pedestrians. Number 2 in Vienna is public transport, because Vienna had no cycling tradition like the others. Well, you can keep the one. Yeah. Cycling had no, Vienna had no cyclists. At this time, we had no cyclists at all in Vienna. So number 2 was public transport, which is also socially more agreeable than cycling. Number 3 were cyclists. Number 4 were quality of urban space. Number 5 was finally the cars. All the others should have priority traffic signals and in the public space. This was the plan which was given to the city in 1979. But at this time, like in many cities and many universities today, the next slide show the foundations of the traditional transport policy, which is also very deep embedded in European transport policy, because the people believe on growth of mobility, on time saving by increasing travel speed, because everything is calculated on time saving, there's benefits. And third one is the freedom of modal choice. Next slide show what is happening in Vienna when we have analyzed the situation very carefully. On the right side of the diagram, you see the relationship between economic growth and increasing motorization. And from this, the diagram on the left side is derived and still in the brain of most of the transport politicians, which tells us more motorization means more mobility. This was also at this time in my teaching. And in 1975, we analyzed the situation in Germany, where they had a longer tradition in cycling, to get sound data, good background data for the city of Vienna to recommend for the city of Vienna a certain amount of cycle trucks. Next slide. Show you the situation we got from the diagram on the left side. And the left diagram tells you mobility is increasing when we build cycle trucks. And the right diagram tells you mobility is increasing when the people buy cars. And this is obviously a contradiction. There it is necessary to ask what is on the different axes. The common axis on the vertical side are counting the trips on public space. Why are people moving in public space? They have always a purpose. And the purpose to move to somewhere is to compensate the deficits of your origin at the destination. And this is not dependent on the mode. This is not dependent on the mode. They are basic human needs. And if we look to the service, we see it on the next slide, then we find this relationship. If car trips are increasing, pedestrian, cyclist, and public transport trips are decreasing. And this is exactly what happened over decades, and is still happening today. The reason I can show you in the next diagram. This is the meaning of data. Most of the people think, well, data are available. Data are artificial products in our brain. In reality, no data exists. They are always produced by some hypotheses, some ideas, and so on. Data are reflecting with a certain method, a certain behavior. And behavior is always determined on structure, like our body structure is not well, don't fit in the underwater or something like that. And this diagram has far-reaching effects because the politicians, planners, have to decide about the structures. And therefore, they are responsible for the behavior of people in transport and cities, and also the misbehavior. If we have transport problems, environmental problems, the structures, these are not only built structures, these are legal structures, these are financial structures, are creating these problems. The people just react intelligent on the structures defined. And this diagram before, if you show one slide back, then you see that what happened in this time. We have built only structures for the benefits of cars, and this was against all the other structures. And the people read this environment and say, okay, the best thing what I can do is use a car, buy a car and use a car. Next next one. So the situation today, one back please. The situation today is the number of trips per person per day in the average is about 3. Everywhere on the globe, I have data, million of data from a lot of cities. So it is very easy if you have a city of 1 million inhabitants, you know, the people are producing every day in the average about 3 million trips. And how we would like to have the trips depends on the structure. It is not useful to tell the people, well, please use public transport, make cycling or walk. If you build the structures for the benefits of cars, you find everywhere the best opportunity to use a car. So the next pillar which was lost is the speed, because we believe that our personal experience driving from A to B, which is always saving time if we are moving faster, is also the system behavior. But this is not the case. We have some experience which are shown in this diagram. The diagram on the horizontal axis, see the speed, on the vertical axis, see the body energy consumption, which is calculated in our brain. The lower curve shows walking, and the second one on the right top is running. And if we want to increase our speed, our brain tells you are stupid. Please don't use so much energy and slow down. So we have a negative feedback, which is a basic need for surviving structures. This is walking. And this has been lost when we have started to use the car. Please, next slide. And you see what is happening. We were walking for about 6 to 8 millions on the horizontal axis with the speed on the vertical axis of a pedestrian. And during the last 200 years, suddenly we are in a totally different position. We are 10 times, 15 times, 20 times faster, and we think we have understood it. We haven't understood nothing. And we believe because as pedestrian, we make the experience, okay, faster, less time. As driver, we have also the experience, faster, less time. But where has the time been lost? Please show the next slide. We have analyzed, well, this is the calculation. We connect 2 points A and B with a better system, which is faster. A lot of money, billions, is spent in Europe to save time. And I will show you what is happening. And then we calculate the benefits of the time. This is happening in cities. These are examples from China. And the next is they try to prevent congestion by building more motorways. And you see what is coming out. We can reduce congestion on 2, 3, and 4 levels if we build motorways, because the people have not understood what I have told you before. So the teaching and the thinking of the people is on the wrong way. Next slide. The travel speed in Austria, as well as most of the countries, was after World War II. On the left corner in 1955 and in 1983, we were on individual level, we were about 10 times faster. So the question is, where has this time which we have saved been left? Because I didn't have the experience that during the 30 years from 50s to 80s, we have a surplus of time and the society was becoming more and more convenient. So I had to look, I'm always working with the people. Next slide. What are the people, how do the people behave? On the horizontal axis, you have the travel time. On the vertical axis, you have the percentage of people who use a certain amount of time for their trips. And you see the pedestrians. Pedestrians have a speed of 3 kilometers an hour from origin to destinations in the cities, in this city. And car users have 18 kilometers an hour. And you see the green line is the speed, it's the travel time distribution of pedestrians, and the dotted red line is the travel time distribution of car users. And you see even the car users are 6 times faster than the pedestrians. They have absolutely the same travel time distribution. And if we go to the global scale, please, the next slide. Then we get this diagram. This was from a study from MIT and EASA. And you see on the left side, on the horizontal axis, you see the wealth of the people in dollar income per year. You have on the left side people without cars. On the right side, our high motorized society. On the left side, we have the pedestrians. On the right side, we have the car users. And this red dotted line should be or is the effect of our calculations, but this is not the reality. And you see, travel time is a constant globally. And you cannot save time by increasing speed. What is happening if you cannot save time by increasing speed is known since 50 years already. Next slide. Please.
Professor
what is happening here? If you increase the speed, you increase the distance.
Mr. Knoflacher, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm the moderator. Mr. Knoflacher, could you please do a big step forward, because we lost so much time because of the technical problems and there are so many slides left. Maybe you could do a step forward. We have just 5 minutes.
Okay, I will jump over some slides.
Yeah, that would be nice.
This is important.
I know what you mean, but I'm very sorry about it.
Okay.
5 minutes to go. Thank you.
Okay. This is important because this slide shows why the cities are destroyed. Instead of having the destination in the city, car owners have much more freedom than the cities have, because after 5 or 10 kilometers, the car user is far away from the city borders, and his freedom is greater, and even the investor's freedom is greater than the city possibilities, and they can control the situation. Please, can you go ahead? I will skip this one. This is the problem for a practical implication, because this is the new species. This is a species of car users, and they have some different brain compared to humans. Please, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Next one. Well, go ahead, go ahead. Well, we have the same behavior like the bees. This is this. Go ahead. This the next one, please. Okay. This diagram shows the behavior of bees, and their right behavior is the behavior of people in accepting walking distances. And you see, if the walking distance is increased, then the people don't accept the walking distance, and if the environment is bad, even worse. If we change the quality of environment into a bad fashion, we kill the pedestrians in the environment. Please. The next slide shows the combination of man with the car. So 240 horsepower are connected with 0.1 horsepower. And this has a lot of dramatic effects. I show them in the next slides, please. Next, over next, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. This one. We don't see the reality anymore, the slide before. You show this is a normal situation because we accept it. Well, somebody is coming with a car. Next slide. I have invented the so-called walking tool, and if I appear with the walking tool here as a pedestrian, occupying the same space like a car, everybody think I am mad. Next slide, please. And then I can walk through the city. Next slide. And if I stuck in the congestion, well, everybody think, well, this guy is crazy. But they don't see what is happening around, because the car in your brain control what is going on. And the car like to have this kind of environment, so we build this kind of environment. Please go ahead. Then this is a parking problem, and finally we left the empty car and say, okay, this is our parking problem. Go ahead, next slide. So, and then we build this kind of structures, and this capture the people as soon as they go out of the home. The same is happening in the city areas. We have parking in the underground, and the people are appearing on the level. Instead of having shops here and interesting environment, we have these black holes. Next slide. So we go ahead, jump over this one. This is our responsibility. We have to change the structures, and how we have to change the structures. The reason is, one of the reasons is the Reichsgaragenordnung, which is the building code, which provide every apartment, every business with enough parking spaces. And if we have the parking spaces, which is a kind of cancer cell in the city, we destroy the cities and we destroy the environment for non-motorized public transport. Please go ahead. This is the situation today. We park at home and we don't need working, shopping and recreation around us. It can go somewhere where we have, again, parking places and we have no chance for public transport. What is to do? I show you the next slide. We have to change the garage regulations. Go ahead. We have to change the financial structures. We have to bring car into the economic borders. And this is the situation, what is happening. If we do this structural change, Vienna is in between the second and the third column here. This has changed since the 60s into this direction. Next slide. And what we have to do, we have to park the cars outside of human settlements. Next slide. Show the effects as much as Vienna has done so far since 2002. The number of the car ownership is decreasing continuously, opposite to what is happening in the other parts of Austria. And this is important, and the secret why the motorization is decreasing are the changes in the structures, the financial structures, the physical structures, the laws, and of course the informations where Dr. Thaler has already, my colleague Thaler has already done a lot of things countrywide. Next slide. Show you the situation. We have introduced general parking fees in the city center, and then we have extended it to all the other districts. And these red lines are the motorways from the past. These are the things from the past. Next slide. And this was the outcome. I think it was not so bad. What has been done here based on sound scientific basis and understanding the transport system. And if we extend this situation to other cities, I think it works very well. I have looked to many of the lectures of today. All of them go into the same direction. But if you don't have a sound background on the scientific basis, you have not a good position to react to the existing powers in the system. Thank you.
Professor Knoflacher, thank you very much for this very interesting lecture. We lost a little bit of time, but
sorry.
You jumped into our time schedule and everything's fine right now. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now it's time for some inputs from towns and cities on European Mobility Week and sustainable transport. As we said before, we have two awarded cities. One of them is Mönchengladbach in Germany, and one is Bruck an der Leitha here in Austria. And we have the two mayors now as speakers with us. I'm very happy to welcome you. But first, I think we should... Back again. Hope you can see me, hope you can hear me, and I hope he is with us right now, Mr. Felix Heinrichs, the mayor of Mönchengladbach. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you. How are you, Mr. Heinrichs?
It's wonderful to be here with you and to represent my city in this very special award we won.
Yeah, congratulations. And how's the weather in Mönchengladbach today?
Good, I think. Sun is shining bright over this city.
Fine, super. Mr. Heinrichs, the stage is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome from my side as well. Over the next few minutes, I would like to show you how Mönchengladbach is moving from a predominantly car-friendly town to a city that is ready for the future and especially for sustainable mobility. Next slide, please. Thank you. Mönchengladbach is a larger municipality with about 270,000 inhabitants. Therefore, it is the largest city located between Maas and Rhine in the North Rhine-Westphalia. You might know Mönchengladbach because of our successful football team, Borussia Mönchengladbach, our textile industry and our textile heritage, or the Museum Abteiberg that is well known for its shows of contemporary art. But I'm pretty sure you have not heard of Mönchengladbach in the context of sustainable mobility yet. Next slide, please. Clearly, Mönchengladbach is not yet famous for sustainable mobility. We understood that only a city with a good mixture of different mobility options offers high quality of life. Therefore, sustainable mobility is indispensable, and we are working towards it. At the moment, private passenger transport still dominates our model split, and old and car-friendly infrastructure is still prevalent in the city. But we are changing this step by step. Also, circumstances are changing. We build a great network and collaboration. We try to use creative ideas, especially for communication. We, the citizens, but also the administration, are highly motivated. We have developed concepts for sustainable mobility to meet our goals. Political decisions have been made to support these aims, and at last, of course, we are improving the infrastructure by implementing various measures. With many different measures, we are trying to improve our traffic system for everyone, for children, but also for elderly or physically challenged people. We expand our public transport network. We offer smart sharing options such as bike and car sharing. We enlarge our cycle path and the related infrastructure like the cycle signposting system. We share space because a city should not be dominated by traffic, but allow for enough space for walking, playing, getting in contact with people and enjoying life. And Professor Knoflacher showed some pictures how city can work without just dominated by traffic. But to change something does not only mean the improvement of infrastructure, we also need a strong and positive communication and dialogue with our citizens, and that's why we take part in the European Mobility Week. We took part the first time in 2018, starting with small events in a small network consisting of 3 people. Since then, the network and our activities have grown each year. New people are taking part, and the European Mobility Week has become a component in our work. The network is really important to us. We can only steer our mobility towards more sustainability because of a great network and partners who support our projects and, of course, the European Mobility Week. We work together with, for example, companies and different municipalities, non-profit associations and initiatives, artists, schools and kindergarten, and mostly important, our citizens. It is our aim to change people's perception of mobility outside and inside the city hall. For instance, while it was a bit difficult to organize a car-friendly day in the first year, it has become a lot easier over time. Now, the different departments work together and planning processes are a lot more efficient. Now, I'd like to show you some examples of our activities in 2020. Some of our last year's highlights you can see on this slide. Temporary designs of sidewalks, highly attractive points of interest in a district. A scooter park for senior citizens helped them to use different vehicles such as electric wheelchairs. Painting competitions with Edgar, hi Edgar, to show how children imagine what mobility should look like. Creative ways to school to encourage people not to use the car or parent taxi service, as we call it in Germany. A group of women took part in the International Fancy Women Bike Ride. Critical mass took place to highlight the children-friendly bike infrastructure. Free walking frame training. The Workers' Welfare Association offers training for seniors. Those who already had a walking frame could have to service, and they could also take part in free training sessions. Community breakfasts. Communities go to small breakfasts at the central station of Mönchengladbach. We are supported by different initiatives and groups of citizens to ensure an interesting European Mobility Week program. Because of that, our activities during the week are very and offer tangible mobility for all groups of people. Climate-friendly mobility options were shown to the walking and visually impaired, the elderly as well as children and women, and gave them various opportunities to participate in activities. The European Week themes last year, mobility for all, was taken very seriously. Next slide, please. Because of the pandemic, we just allowed and developed decentralized activities. Normally, the parking day is a huge event in the EMV in Mönchengladbach. Last year, we decided to have a parking week. Lots of different parking lots were used for other purposes. Mini golf, pump track, open air art gallery, to name a few. Numerous initiatives support the parking week. After a workshop in early summer to implement their own concept for the parking week, for the park week. During the week, our so-called Raumwunder, you can see it on this slide, a platform transported by a cargo bike, traveled through the city. It turned up at different locations every day and showed the endless opportunities the 12 square meters of parking space can offer beyond parking a car. Various seating options, a bookcase and a solar-powered cell phone charging station can be found on the mobile platform. And a little green and the parking bay is transformed into a feel-good area. The platform drove to a different location every day during the EMV by cargo bike. There was also small daily activity on the Raumwunder, a game night, a movie theater for two or a poetry slam. All activities were live streamed via social media channels. In total, all videos have had about 80,700 views. That way, more people could take part in the European Mobility Week while keeping their distance. Next, please. One important event within the framework of the EMV was our Mobility Day. Bismarck Street, one of the major traffic axes in Mönchengladbach, was closed to car traffic for one day. The roadways and sidewalks became an area of action and exhibition for young and old. As an information event, the Tag der Mobilität, or Mobility Day, was intended to show local citizens that sustainable mobility improved the quality of life for everyone, and there are a lot of opportunities to move in an environmentally and climate-friendly manner. Initiatives from the city and the region provided information about where and how they are committed to climate-friendly mobility issues. Bicycle dealers presented their vehicles, startups their ideas, but also neighborhood initiatives, cultural groups and environmental initiatives took part in this event with creative ideas. Overall, we had 27 different exhibitions. The city of Mönchengladbach was also represented and provided information about the goals of mobility management in the city. This is a great way to get in contact with our citizens. Next slide, please. Besides all our activity, the car-free day, we implemented two permanent measures. The fulfillment of 3 criteria as a perspective for the application for the European Mobility Award. First, we expanded our cycle posting system. Right on time for EMV, the expansion of the network for bicycle postings began. New routes added 155 kilometers to a total length of 550 kilometers. The expansion should close the gaps in the existing route network. The bicycle signposts are located at all intersections with destination informations and total distance in kilometers. Between the destination signs and arrows with writing indicates the course of the route. Furthermore, we started a cross-border electric car and bike sharing program called Share a Regio. The border between the Netherlands and Germany is quickly growing. Share Regio is a car and bike sharing system that makes it possible to book the vehicle in Germany and drive to the Netherlands. Last slide, please. Of course, we know that we still have a lot of work ahead of us on our pathways towards more sustainable mobility. There is still much to do, but we are proud that our engagement and commitment is recognized and that we won the Mobility Week Award this year for our engagement in 2020. This shows that we have done a great job so far and we have to improve a lot. This boosts our confidence and we are excited about taking the next steps for a sustainable and accessible mobility for all in Mönchengladbach. We are looking forward to taking part in the EMV 2021 and I would be pleased to welcome you again. Thank you for the possibility to show Mönchengladbach's engagement and for your attention.
Mr. Mayor, we're going to visit Mönchengladbach as soon as possible.
See you here.
By train. For sure. Thank you so much. A wonderful afternoon and congratulations again to the award.
See you. Bye.
For the award and the winning. Thank you. Now we go back from Germany to Austria. As we said, Bruck an der Leitha was nominated in the category smaller municipalities. It's the most different word I have to say this afternoon, as one of 3 from all over Europe for the award. And the mayor of Bruck an der Leitha is now with us. But before he is going to talk to us, we are going to show you Bruck an der Leitha. We visit the city. Going to visit Bruck an der Leitha by bike. It's about 30 kilometers here from Vienna. And I can see the mayor, Gerhard Weil, is now with us. Herr Weil, Sie können uns sehen, Sie können uns hören. Hallo. Yeah?
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Weil. Hello.
Hello, Eva. I
Hello.
speak in German. Hello. Grüß dich.
Yes, I know. But let me explain it to all the other participants. We're going to do this in German. Mr. Weil is going to speak in German. You can push or use the translation button and choose your language so you can hear and understand everything.
Mr. Weil, I'm very glad that you're here. When we said next time when we come to visit you in Bruck an der Leitha, we will come by bicycle. Yes, we have fantastic bike networks. You can introduce yourself, you and your city. Thank you. Hello, everyone from Bruck an der Leitha in Austria. I'm particularly happy that we, as a local regional capital, that we have been nominated for this award and that I can present you my city from here. Even though we have not been able to win the cup for Austria, I'm nevertheless extremely proud to be among the top 3 nominees. In this context, I would like to take this opportunity and congratulate the other competitors, particularly the other cities, for this award. To start with, I would like, for those who do not know Bruck an der Leitha, give you some figures about our city, the city Bruck an der Leitha, and with this conurbation in the west of east of Austria, east of Vienna. We are regional capital. We have about 100,000 inhabitants and are thus therefore among the major, most biggest districts of the federation. Everything began in the year 1047 when Heinrichs Bruck was mentioned because it was particularly positioned on a ford on the river, and the fort was then fortified. This is where we have the city walls and the towers from this period. The beautiful castle of Bruck used to protect the old city. The family Harrer has bought the castle and they've constantly expanded it in the 19th century. And then the park was newly adjusted and is now among the best traditional gardens in Middle Europe. And we have tourists from entire Europe, and particularly the population of Bruck. For them, it's their green space in the city where they come to enjoy with their huge plain, very old trees in the middle of the pastures and the marshlands. The Harrer Park is an idyllic and green space for numerous activities of the citizens because of its historical value. It also has a biodiversity function for rare animals like birds, and great diversity in dragonflies on the waters. Bruck an der Leitha in itself is situated exactly halfway between Vienna and Bratislava. You can reach Vienna within half an hour. We are within the wine growing region of Römerland. In the Middle Ages, we were an important wine city. The region up until today is known for its wines, and we're also known for our sports people, and the romantic wine gardens are perfect for the discovery of the region. You can circle along the famous bicycle lanes along the Donau River. You can discover the environment, the protected environment. And this brings us back to the topic of this region. So this region, our city, we have been motivated and active in this topic in cooperation with the Energy Park Bruck an der Leitha, who's working on projects in terms of renewable energy, climate change, and environmental protection. The city has been able, our city and our region, to become a European green region because of the numerous wind energy and our tests with biomass and biogas. We have been able to cover our energy needs with clean energy, and we also now produce for the grid, and we feed from biogas power into the grid. If you come visit us, you can visit some of these situations, particularly the wind farm at the west of the city with a panorama point. All the public buildings have photovoltaic energy on their roofs, and also we have also changed our urban lighting with LEDs. In terms of mobility, Bruck an der Leitha has always been setting on innovations, and so that's why we have a number of a pool of electro vehicles with loading stations in the city. We also offer car sharing via a mobile app. So Bruck an der Leitha has started in 2011 the environmental actions where we've organized mobile transport. We are going to celebrate the 10 years anniversary of that. Within the framework, there will be new electrical vehicles will be developed. So Bruck an der Leitha, for numerous years, we have participated on the car-free days and different climate actions. It was clear that, of course, for sustainable, we were going to participate on the Sustainable Week, European Sustainability Week, and the Mobility Week. What are we planning for the Mobility Week from the 16th to 22 September. What are you planning for the European Mobility Week? Can you maybe tell us a bit? Yes, of course. We are working on for the celebration of the 20th anniversary of European Mobility Week, and here the motto is to be active and healthy and safe. But we are not going to tell you what we're planning. It's going to be a surprise. We're still working on it. We might be winning the prize next year. That's why we're going to keep it on ourselves. So last time Austria won the prize was 2017 for Vienna. And so we are competing, we're contending for next year to bring the cup home. Of course, we are we wishing you all the best. We're not going to understand. So could you you've already mentioned a certain number of initiatives in projects which you implemented in your city. I was wondering, what was your first action as a mayor? What was your specific concern? As I mentioned it, 10 years ago, we started with the project Bruck Elektrisiert, Power for Bruck. We organized the e-car race in the city where everyone could participate. We bought 15 e-bikes 15 years ago. That was actually very utopic, and today it's fairly common. But back then it was revolutionary, and we were able for the citizens of Bruck, they could try them and test them, and then maybe go from a normal bike to an e-bike. I hope you managed to switch from the switch. Do you have many e-bikes in your city? Yes, I only move around with my e-bike. Of course, when the weather is fine, it's even better. But fundamentally, it really needs to rain in Herriel for me to take my car. Mr. Mayor, we are slightly late. We also have some technical problems. So if you have something important you want to add, then I would say else. You can say it else. Are you okay? Anything you want to add? Yes, I'm fine. Have you said everything? Yes. There's one thing that's clear. It's only when everyone together is active for the climate protection, then the meeting of the European and global goals is possible, sustainability goals. So it's very important. It's useful if a small city like ours, we do our things on our side and we take initiative and all the others don't do it. We need to all pull in the same direction and take us by the hand and initiate at all levels diversity of projects. Thank you that you're showing us the way and that you've explained to us. You are really an example, a shining example. Thank you, and we wish you all the best for next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weil, Mayor of Bruck and Leitha. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, sorry for the delay, dear participants out there. We have time schedule, and we have a delay right now. But now it's time for a quiz. It's time to play a game and the quiz. And I'd like to introduce your quiz master to you. This is Claudia Kiso. A wonderful good afternoon. Hello, Claudia.
Hello, good afternoon. Great to be here.
You're doing the quiz. I'm listening, and I'm very excited.
Exactly. Hello, everybody. I know we're a bit late, but we decided to still have the quiz with all of you to have a chance to check out your knowledge about European Mobility Week and to maybe learn a few new facts about what European Mobility Week can look like in all the different countries all over the world, in fact. So I'm going to share a screen now with the quiz, and I would suggest everybody who can takes out their mobile phone, because we are going to do that quiz on Mentimeter. And yeah, I'm going to change to share the screen now, and I hope you all can do that. 1 second, I can present it. Exactly. I hope everybody can see menti.com, and there is a code that you will also see in the chat. It's 58082880. So please go on www.menti.com, and enter the code so you can participate in our quiz. And I suggest you give yourself a name, because there's in fact a prize to be won. Oh, I already see 2 participants, 3 are already in here. We will wait a little bit. If you don't have a mobile phone, you can still use your browser and just open Menti in your browser, and we'll wait for a few more participants. No worries. And then, I'm very curious. All the questions coming up, I don't think anyone could answer all of them. I had to look some of them up as well. But they're supposed to be fun and spark some interest in European Mobility Week, and maybe inspire you to also participate yourself next week. Next week, I'm saying, no, it feels so close. No, it's in September, from the 16th to the 22nd of September. And even if you're from a country that's not strictly in the EU, you will soon see throughout our quiz that there are also countries who are not in the EU can definitely participate in European Mobility Week. So I will wait for a little longer. We have 17 participants. Maybe we can reach the 20, I don't know. Oh, we're 18, perfect. Okay, so I think we will start, and anyone else can start and join in over time. We're 19 already. So we'll get to the first question. So it is important to answer as quickly as you can. But if you didn't read it in the very first beginning, the question will remain there, and the answer options will be added as well. So answer as quickly as you can. Which of the following countries participated in European Mobility Week in 2016? Was it China? Was it Mali? Was it South Africa? Or was it Brazil? Answer as quickly as you can. The faster it gets, the better it gets. Okay, we have 14 answers already. Okay, let's see what is the correct answer. It is Mali. Surprising, isn't it? Yeah, Mali did participate in European Mobility Week in 2016. Let's get to the next question. There you have 9 more chances to move up in the ranks. So the next question is, oh, I think we went one question too quickly. Yeah, question number 2 is, which of these capitals have never won the European Mobility Week? It's important, never won. Was it Lisbon? Was it Vienna? Was it Warsaw? Or was it Ljubljana? I think we learned already who won in 2017, but yeah, maybe. Okay, now we'll see. It was Warsaw. Yeah, most of you knew the correct answer. Very well. Well, let's get to the next question. Now it becomes a bit more difficult, but also we will have a look into other countries, what was happening there. So the next question is, why were corks distributed to car drivers in Latvia during European Mobility Week? Was it to tell car drivers not to drink and drive, or to advertise a local wine festival, to highlight car drivers are part of the congestion problem and solution, or was it a voucher for a bike shop? And if you have no idea what this might look like, we will show you in a little bit. So I'm very curious what you guys are guessing. So, 6 people were correct. It was to highlight car drivers are part of the congestion problem and the solution. And on the next slide, you can see how it looks like. It said on this little sign, it says, don't sit in a cork, which is kind of a colloquial word in Latvian for car as well, on car-free day. And so they did distribute the corks to car drivers who were standing in Riga in a traffic jam and urged them to use different modes of transport. A very fun activity, we think. So up to the next question, question 4. Again, try to be as fast as you can. What happened in Laufen and Oberndorf bei Salzburg during European Mobility Week? Was it mayors from both cities went on a bike tour? Was it a swimming competition in River Salzach? Was it pedestrian crossing literally grew legs and crossed the border? Or local choirs performed Silent Night at the border? The song Silent Night was written in Oberndorf bei Salzburg, for those who were wondering. What is the correct answer? It was, yes, number 3 is correct. Pedestrian crossing literally grew legs and crossed the border. How might that look like? We brought you a little picture here. So there was a little pedestrian crossing, and that actually walked over to Laufen. They are bordering cities. So now we come to the to the halftime. And the next question is, what is the most popular EMW giveaway in Finland? Is it a bike light, a bucket, a reflector, or a muesli bar? Whatever do you think is most popular in Finland as a giveaway? It is a bucket. Nearly no one guessed it, and I totally understand it. I was as surprised as you were. Apparently, buckets are really great when it's snowing outside, and also you can use it for a sauna. So maybe this is why it's not as popular back home in Germany, especially when I look out of my window. Here we come to the leaderboard. Let's see how you guys are doing. Ooh, I see the runner-up for winning this little quiz is Marielle. Congratulations, but you have another 5 more questions, so this could still change. Let's see how it goes. So the next question will be question 6. In Portugal, the EMW mascots are called Edda and Edgarina. How are they called in Iceland? And please excuse my Icelandic. Is it Edgar and Enya? Is it Samgun Gukrutin? Is it Eyjafjallajökull, or is it Reykjavik? 2 of the Icelandic words we chose, you might know. And we were really excited how it's done in Iceland, which is very different to us in Germany. What is the correct answer? 2 people guessed correctly. It's Samgun Gukrutin, and they don't have different names for Edgar and Edda. Instead, they are just saying little cuties. Now we are having the next question. It's 3 more to go. The old EMW logo included a wheel, a flower, a EMW mascot, or a bike. Who can remember the old EMW logo? So in 2 seconds we'll know more. Who can remember it? Oh, apparently not everyone. It's a flower, and this is how it looks like. Even though, yes, for everybody working on mobility, this might be surprising, but this is how the old logo looked like. Now we come back to the next question. Question number 8 is, what was the first theme of European Mobility Week? Was it Millennials Don't Drive? Was it Get to the City Without Your Car? Ride a bike, don't drive a car? Or was it Move Sustainably, Stay Healthy? If we're 100% correct, it was the theme of the first car-free day activity in 2000, but still, we still count it as EMW. So who guessed it? Okay, 1 person did get it. It was Get to the City Without Your Car. And we looked in our archives and we found this little brochure from Germany with the old logo of Umweltbundesamt I'm working at the moment. So in die Stadt ohne mein Auto was the theme back then. We have another question. What countries are very successful in terms of EMW participation rate? Is it Spain? Is it Austria? Is it Denmark? Or is it Germany? Who do you think is most successful? 9 people have answered. The others are still guessing, I guess. 10, 11, time's up. It is, we had 2 correct answers here. It is Spain and Austria. And one would think Denmark is very successful, but in fact, it's not very. And Germany hopefully is soon up there in a few years. But currently we are still learning from Austria and Spain. So the final question, so whoever wants to gain some points, be quick. What happened here in Erfurt during European Mobility Week? Look at the picture. Was it the bollard was inaugurated? The bollard was the starting point of a bike tour. Cyclists thanked the bollard for its services. The bollard was celebrated as a new landmark. What do you think happened here on this picture during European Mobility Week in Erfurt? Oh, only 6 answered. Quickly, get your answers in. It was number 1. Number 3, cyclists thanked the bollard for its services. But does that make any sense? Yes, it does, because this specific bollard even does have a name. It's called Poller Paul. He has his own Facebook page, and the cyclists thanked him for keeping the cars out of the city. So they had a car-free city. This is why they thanked him for his services. That was the final question. So let's see whether Marielle is still on top of the scoring board, of the leaderboard. Let's have a look. What happened? Oh, I think a lot has changed. We have a new winner with the name of CMMG. Please type your email address in the chat and you will receive a little surprise. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating in this little quiz. I hope you had learned a little bit, some new things, and had a little bit of fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Claudia. You were a great show and quiz master. Maybe this could be the surprise for our winner today, this little Edgar. What do you think about it?
I'm just very jealous whoever wins then.
Claudia, thank you so much.
Thank you, bye-bye.
See you again soon, bye-bye. Yeah, I'd like to welcome now a woman who knows this little Edgar very well. Her name is Petra Völkel, and Petra, she is involved in all these activities around the European Mobility Week in Austria since the beginning. Good afternoon, Petra. We can see you. Hopefully we can hear you.
Good afternoon to everyone. Hello, Eva.
Yeah, maybe you are the winner of the quiz.
I hope so.
Oh,
no, I'm not.
So, okay.
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately, but you already have got a little Edgar.
I like these Edgars very much, yes.
You like them, okay.
Everyone likes it when we have a stand somewhere. Everyone comes to us and looks at these Edgars, yes.
Yeah, now I take it with me. And I'm going to ask you, Petra, what can we say about the campaign? What has it achieved since over the years? What is your impression all over the years?
Yes, I'm very proud because I'm one of the, there are not much persons like me who are part of this campaign since the very first beginning in the year 2000. Back then I was on the other side. I was an organizer, a coordinator in a small village in Lower Austria with 7,000 inhabitants. It's called Langenlois. It's a wine region. And then in 2000, I organized with other people a really big car-free day with a boccia lane on the street with a lot of sand and with a lot of picnic places with lawn and decorated with flowers. And we had competitions and bike rides and with the politicians, and also the Minister of Environment visited us with a big delegation, and we made really a lot of effort. And then it was extremely raining on this day. Yes, it was really a pity. And mainly because the community, the municipality was much against it at this time, because in Langenlois in September there is the vintage of wine, the grape harvest. And they said the tractor has to go there, and it's not possible to do such a thing. So, and since 2004, I'm on the other side. I'm organized this campaign as a national coordinator for all over Austria, together with the Climate Alliance. And I think my advantage is that I know both sides. I know this as an organizer and also as a national coordinator. I know these challenges from the communities, and I hope so. I also see this big picture. And the special thing about this campaign is, I think that it comes from the EU level down to the smallest communities and municipalities all over Europe, and meanwhile Europe worldwide. And as you heard from Madeleine today, more than nearly 3,000 towns are participating, and 534 they come from Austria. Success for this small country as ours. And this is only possible because we have a huge network of partners like the Federal Railway Systems or the Chamber of Commerce. So the campaign creates awareness of sustainable mobility, and it should be fun and you can try things out. And I think this trial and error is an easy and a successful approach for the cities.
Yes, that's what it is, Petra. And why should other countries participate?
Because it's really funny to be part of this great campaign. And we always say we are a big family, a big European Mobility Week family. There are a lot of nice people and very committed people. They are active. And I would like to say Juan, he is the coordinator of this campaign. And unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today. But we send him our best wishes to Brussels and get well soon.
Yeah,
and
yes,
here you can see this very engaged people, and
wow.
They're very busy.
A lot of work to do, a lot of effort, and lots of support.
Yes.
Thank you, Petra. This is these are wonderful closing words, and we're looking forward to the upcoming European Mobility Week. It's gonna take place from the 16th to the 22nd of September. And hope we see you. Yeah, see you soon there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Petra.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This was the Finnish closing words, as I said, and I mentioned. I hope you had a good time, a good webinar with us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to all our speakers and our experts, and who took part this webinar. And I wish you a wonderful afternoon and send greeting from Vienna. And the last winke is from Edgar. Thank you. Bye-bye.